Double brokering has been a concern for brokers, carriers, and shippers alike for years. The term double broker is relatively self-explanatory. It often refers to a brokered or shipper-tendered load being sent to a known carrier, and from there the load is then tendered to a carrier unbeknownst to the original parties. Now, there are several issues with fraudulent activities like this, but for time's sake, let's go over the top 3 in my book. Number 1, brokers/shippers are responsible for vetting carriers and making sure they meet industry-compliant requirements. While these requirements can be drastically different from broker to broker, more than likely there is little or no vetting that takes place the second time the load gets brokered out. This can open up the original broker and or shipper up to litigations if the load goes missing, or worse, if the carrier that was rebrokered on the load doesn't meet certain operating authority standards and is involved in an accident. Now, while the word double commonly means 2, in the world of double brokering, it is not uncommon for one load to be rebrokered 2, 3, 4, or even more times before reaching its final destination, especially in markets with heavy freight flows such as Chicago, Los Angeles, and Atlanta. Number 2, double brokering can become costly to all parties, as legitimate carriers that have been defrauded have been known to engage shippers for payment when they are unable to track down the fraudulent broker who originally tendered them the load. Legitimate brokers who have been defrauded are also commonly on the hook for multiple payments, as unknowingly double broker carriers seek payment for their services after bad actors have already received compensation. Payments to double broker carriers are typically at a much higher rate than the legitimate broker originally negotiates, as fraudulent carriers tend to have little intentions of paying the victimized carriers back. Attracting genuine providers with too good to be true rates, especially in bear or bust markets, is common bait used by these bad actors that add up over time. So much so that according to Carrier 411 CEO Darren Brewer, double broker scams cost the transportation industry more than $100 million per year. Number 3, it's illegal. Yes, double brokering, not to be confused with co-brokering, is an illegal practice. In most circumstances, both strategic theft and cyber attacks on valid carriers, brokers, and even shippers will involve some level of double brokering. That could look like a carrier's identity being stolen through phishing campaigns, leading to that bad actor then posting a fictitious truck on a load board under the stolen motor carrier's identity, the bad actor then accepting a load from a shipper or broker, turning around and brokering the load out to a carrier who believes the transaction to not only be legitimate, but very well paying. From there, the legitimate carrier would be given instructions once loaded to take the shipment to an unbeknownst location. In most circumstances, the product is then transloaded yet to another victimized carrier with a new bill of lading, allowing the bad actor to have the load delivered at their own convenience once they feel confident the product isn't being tracked or monitored, never to be seen again by any of the legitimate parties involved. Now, is all of this scary? Sure. Does it happen commonly? Yes. Is it preventable? Absolutely. Education when it comes to fraud prevention is essential. Keep an eye out for our next release in the coming week, where we talk about preventative measures you can take and how to spot fraudulent behaviors early on.